Okay, so how did I make the bracket? Okay, well first of all, a couple pieces of advice. Initially I started out with plastic and it was just no good. There's just too much flex in it. So when you've got everything up tight so you can just make minute movements with the plastic, you've always got to over flex and hope it comes back to where you want it. Whereas if I go into the brass and stuff, I mean the end's plastic, but all my knuckles and joints, any pivot point I've got can be done up fairly tight, so that if you make a small adjustment, it just stays there. So this is the secret. Go to your local frame shop, and this is the thing with DIY, yours isn't going to be exactly like mine, because it's going to be what you found around the house and elsewhere. I built this one with a couple of nuts and bolts and a tripod, cheap $20 camera tripod. So this is the important bit. Like I said, when you get it, you don't have to get this tight, but make sure it's steel. The knuckle's plastic, but that's fine as long as all my brackets can't flex in between the pivot points. They've all got to be nice and solid. So I can't stress enough that it took me a long time to learn that only metals will do. Now on the other end of this ball joint, of course, was the socket to mount this onto your windscreen. So what I've done is just gone and got a nut and bolt. I've set, I only need this one to pivot that way, I don't need this. And with this washer here, by changing the depth, if I have it shallower, it'll allow me more movement, but then I get that little bit of play that, you've got to over adjust all the time. So I only need one movement from this, so I let that's going all the way, the top of the head's going all the way to the bottom. So I'm just going to set this nut so that the washer pops just on the other side. Right. So now when I do this up, so at the moment I've still got my movement that way won't come from here, it actually comes now a spring, a compression spring. You get springs two ways, they pull or they push. Compression springs push. Get yourself a nice stiff spring and put it on the nut. This is important because I want to be able to turn it and stop it at any point without it rolling back. If I've always got to turn it to lock, then I'm stuck with where lock is. If it's off lock, every time you try and line it up, it just jiggles about. With the spring, you can, I'll get it on for you, show you. Now with the spring, I'll just back this off a bit so I get my movement back there, you see. With this spring, what it does is it allows me, I just take up the tension. Now, that's how you saw it before on the telescope, so that's locked around the neck. This I got off a old camera tripod I found in the shed. I'm not sure what you're going to use. You're going to have to find or make something. I actually thought of looking for a nice down pipe clamp, that goes down the side of your house. It goes around piping to clamp around because it's got the straight edge. You could then build. You need this pivot point. This pivot point here, the first one off, just needs to be that way. Alright? Because when it's sitting on, as long as I got that way and this joint here, I'm laughing. Because from that point, I just turn that and I can spin that into its location. And if I want it a bit stiffer, I'll just go around one more. But Now that's fairly stiff and it won't move. As I'm trying to do the other adjustments, that one will stay where I wanted it because I've got tension there, but it's not a lock. Use the spreading. There's another little trick I learned. That's it. Get yourself one of these, I think, mainly because that knuckle is just beautiful. All you need is a nut and bolt, and you're going to have to DIY this bit here, folks. It doesn't have to look like this. What's important is that you just need that movement. And as you see with mine, if you've got your downpipe bracket that you're going to make around the outside, make sure you come out and backwards, maybe 20 mil on an angle. With that just gets you clearance from down the lens. It just gets you out a little bit so you're free to really swing it around as far as you like. Yeah, that'll be the only tricky bit for you.